Meow and hello, the Cat Protector Noel Rosen here. And yesterday, as we all know, Governor Jan Brewer vetoed the Arizona bill SB 1062. But there's a lot of, the air needs to be cleared about it, because there is stuff that the public and the nation never saw. And I figured I would get the facts and the truth out there. First of all, the public was told that the bill was an anti-gay bill. And it wasn't. It was about religious freedom. And basically, the text in the bill just merely supported what was already in the Constitution. That's the first part right there. And of course, we've already had bills that established religious freedoms before. Or religious freedom. And, well, those are already in the books. So, the question that I kept asking the media was, who was responsible for pulling the trigger and creating the spin that said it was an anti-gay bill? It was not an anti-gay bill. In fact, it wasn't even discriminating against any particular group whatsoever. None of that verbiage was even in the bill. I read it. So how does a pretty innocent bill get hijacked to becoming anti-gay? And of course, the media ran with it. But there has to be a source somewhere. There's another part to this, that most of the media, there were a few outlets that mentioned it. Of course, I had to kind of track them. I had to actually call them or let them know about it. I mean, they kept stating that they couldn't find any businesses that were for SB 1062. Well, my business was one of those that supported it. But I supported it because I believe that nobody has the right to tell a business owner how to operate their business. Not any one group, and certainly not government. Nobody has that right. And I also was standing up for the Constitution, and freedom of religion is a part of the First Amendment. So I was standing up for the Constitution because it is in the Bill of Rights, and religious freedom is a part of that. But what most of the media was reluctant to report on was the bullying and threats by the opponents of SB 1062 to businesses. My business, because I stood on those two principles, having the right, a business owner having the right to decide how they run their business, and the Constitution, I was threatened with boycott. But my company was not the only one threatened with boycott. There was another business that I've been reading about that not only was threatened with boycott, but there were death threats too, to the business owner and their family, which I find despicable. And most of the local media did not even cover it. I say most because there were a few outlets that did. They were, they were smaller outlets, but they did. And I find it interesting that I actually had to, chase them down and, call these news stations, telling them, look, I support the bill. And even though they said, well, would you be willing to go on camera? A lot of them, well, never called back. A few did, but a lot of them didn't. So that's a little bit of the truth. There was some bullying tactics going on by the opponents of SB 1062. And that's something the nation really didn't see. They saw one side of it, and it was the side of the opponent. Okay, the opponents, that's all the nation saw. They didn't see or hear about businesses that were being bullied by the opponents to kind of get them to be on their side. I was one of those business owners that did not give in, and I won't give in to bullying. This is a tactic that the liberal left uses, and people need to see it. They need to open up their eyes. They're trying to rewrite the Constitution, and if they can't rewrite the Constitution, they're trying to destroy it. And they will threaten and bully anyone that dares to have an opposing view. Now, I'm an independent. I will admit I lean right. There's conservatives that sometimes I don't agree with. But I think that the public deserves to know the facts, and that's pretty much the abbreviated version. And I find a lot of the tactics that the left is using pretty despicable. In my opinion, I think Governor Brewer sold out the Constitution. And I think also those that, I guess there were a couple of senators that, and were members of the legislature that kind of changed their vote. And I don't know. There just was a lot of bullying tactics that were going on here. Understandably, there were businesses that were afraid to come forward and say, I support the bill. I get it. Businesses just want to operate. See, the real sad part is that any business owner like myself that stood up for the Constitution and believes that a business owner has the right to decide what's best for their business is suddenly considered bigoted and hateful and racist and called every dirty name in the book. But that's the tactics of the left. So those are the things that the public and the nation weren't seeing. Now, there were a few outlets that did get that information out. You know who you are. And I thank you for at least giving some of that time. But a lot of the TV media didn't air that portion. I don't think they wanted. I'm not sure if they didn't want the public to see the bullying or what the opponents were doing, but those are the facts. And it's unfortunate that that's what No, it is just unfortunate that we have a country that is accept political correctness. Political correctness is destroying this country, and the liberal left is leading the charge. And if you really look at it, political correctness is, well, pretty much a violation of the First Amendment, because it's trying to squelch people's voices. You know, somebody has something to say, they now have to watch their verbiage. I'm not politically correct. I'm professional, but I'm not politically correct at all. But it's also unfortunate that in this whole fight with SB 1062, that businesses like mine get automatically labeled as being against gays or a certain group simply because they dared to stand up for the Constitution and dared to stand up for their business. I serve everybody. I mean, I serve everyone pretty equally. But I also, if I get an unruly customer or an abusive customer, can give them the boot just as equally. And that's where I stand. The only color, because I've heard race thrown into this thing, the only color I care about is green. Okay, I just want to make a living. But even though I may disagree with somebody's viewpoint, they're allowed to have it. That's a part of the First Amendment of the Constitution. I will defend it. And everyone has a right to practice whatever religion they want. That's also in the Constitution and under the Bill of Rights. And I'll defend that just the same, even though I may disagree with them. But those were the facts. There were bullying tactics by the opponents of SB 1062. It needs to get out. Because this is not going to stop. Just because she vetoed the bill and the liberal left side says, get over it, it's over, you know, back to work, back to business as usual, you know, just forget about it. Why should we? These are tactics they're using in every issue. And it needs to get out there. Those things, people need to see those things. Never be ashamed of standing up for the Constitution. Because, you know, I'm not going to be. So those are pretty much the facts. You know, I could go on and emphasize a lot of other things that happened, but that's kind of a brief version. But I thought that the public and the nation, they need to know what really went on. Because the bill was not an anti-gay bill, and there was nothing in it that would even suggest that they were discriminating against a certain group. So I once again have to ask the question, who spun it that way and who was responsible for starting it? I think that's the question we all need to be asking. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.